There are approximately 14.3 million jobs that are being outsourced every year. As a result, it brings about both positive and negative changes that affect developing countries as well as the United States. Hi, my name is Alexia Valdez, and today I'm going to be talking about things that occur behind the scenes of outsourcing. So, what is outsourcing in general? It's basically when a country or a company looks towards a third party to manufacture or produce their products for them. And usually, America turns to developing countries to produce these products. And that will be explained in the next slide. But as I have said in the intro, it does bring about both positive and negative changes to these countries as well as America, but there's also a lot of gray area that occurs in between these two extremes. So these are the places that we outsource to, and it's usually in the Asian, European areas that we outsource to. So there's China, Philippines, Taiwan, Ukraine, Vietnam, India, and Bangladesh. These are the top places that the United States likes to outsource to, and they all serve like a different purpose. For China, Taiwan, and Vietnam, they are the places that we turn to for technology. These are the places that Apple and Microsoft looks to produce their products. And in addition to this technology, Ukraine is another place to go, but it's mostly for security purposes. In addition, Philippines and India is where the United States outsources call center jobs to, because those are the places where they speak English very well. And usually in call centers or administrative jobs, you need to learn how to speak English so you can interact with these people that you're calling all around the world. In terms of Bangladesh, that's the garment capital of the world, and that's where majority of our clothing comes from, which seems necessary for the United States to outsource to. Moving on from that, I will be discussing the positive effects of outsourcing. So one positive effect that it has towards countries that we outsource to is that it provides these countries with economic and standard living benefits. And this can be displayed in three different cases. The first case is in India. As I've said in the previous slide, we outsource call center jobs to India, and that job is considered a high-paying job because it pays 10,000 Indian dollars per month. And even though that's not a lot in American currency, it's a lot in Indian currency, which makes their economy grow and provides a high employment rate, which makes India's economy pretty well. The second case is Dubai. Dubai is the printing capital of the world, and this is where many countries look to get their things printed. This helps Dubai's economy compete with the rest of the world's economy because many people are looking towards Dubai and investing in Dubai to get their things printed, which calls for a higher employment rate as well as increasing their economic status in the world. Finally, we have America. As I've said before, we outsource blue-collar jobs to other countries, which makes way for white-collar jobs in America. This is a good thing because white-collar jobs tend to pay more than blue-collar jobs. This can boost our economy. Also, outsourcing has decreased our unemployment rate from 1998 to 2006, which is good. Also, another positive effect that outsourcing has on America is that since we live in a technological world, it helps our economy adapt to new conditions and new changes like the rest of the world. Following that, I will be talking about the negative effects of outsourcing according to my research. As you can see, outsourcing to other countries makes working conditions unsafe. The workers are treated horribly. Many people can develop medical conditions and have the possibility of dying while working in these factories. And there is an ongoing concept of using children to work in these factories. So I will explain more of this in depth. In terms of unsafe working conditions, there was an event that took place in Bangladesh, and this was called Rana Plaza. Rana Plaza was a place where many clothes were being developed for Hanes, Abercrombie, and etc. but in 2013 it collapsed, resulting in the deaths of many people. And that event affected many families because the people working in that factories were basically the breadwinners, bringing money into the family. But now, since those people have unfortunately died in that accident, it makes people's lives harder, especially for the people that have to take care of the kids at home. And also, in relation to that, the collapse of Rana Plaza occurred because there was bad infrastructure, and because of that there was basically no regulation. And in regards to all of the factories in other countries, there's little to no regulation in these factories, which can cause many people to develop medical conditions like musculoskeletal disorders from sitting down too much, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and the possibility of death because people don't fix things that need to be fixed, or they don't have enough exits for people to get out of building in case of an emergency. So in regards to the horrible treatment of workers, in regards to Bangladesh and China, the managers that work in these factories, they make the workers work over 100 hours per week, and they only get paid approximately $30 a month, which is very low considering the fact that they work so hard and for so long to make products that we wear, but they get so little out of it. And finally, a negative effect of outsourcing is child labor. So, in regards to the fashion industry, child labor is used because they make the children go out and pick the cotton from the fields because their hands are not going to damage the crops, unlike adult hands, which can easily damage it. So, they look to the children to pick out these crops and raw materials to make the products. And in regards to the beauty community, in India, there's these two places called Jharkhand and Bihar, where they use children to go into these mica mines to fetch the raw material mica, which is used in many beauty products, car supplies, and etc. And these mines are not regulated by the government. As a result, many of them have died in those mines because they collapsed, or they developed a pulmonary fibrosis, which is basically scarring of the lungs for being in the dirt for too long. And yeah, so I'm going to be talking about how outsourcing affects America in a bad way because I talked about the positive effects. So outsourcing affects America in a bad way because unemployment rates are going to increase since we're basically giving out jobs overseas to other people instead of making jobs here in America, which as a result causes a lower standard of living for American citizens, and our economy basically goes down the drain. Also, in addition to this, people that are in college are most affected because we expect to get a job right away out of college, but since we're outsourcing to other countries, they're basically taking our job. Continuing this further, I'll be talking about the concept of American-made products. So domestic workers are considered more expensive than workers that are overseas, and that's because companies would have to pay more for people that work in America rather than in another country. And that's because there's this thing called cheap labor in when they want to outsource to other countries. And in response to this, the local made products or products that say made in America are more expensive than foreign made products. And as a consumer, we favor foreign made products because they're cheaper and we want to save money because our economy is kind of hard these days and living in America is not cheap at all. So Donald Trump, to help us with our economic stuff, he made these tariffs for China and Mexico, which basically says they have to pay for whatever they want to send and sell things that came from China or Mexico. And this helps our economy because money is coming into our economy from Mexico and China for the products that they want to send into the US that stores are eventually going to sell. So, in conclusion, the research suggests that outsourcing does more harm than good, but there are good aspects of it. And between the two extremes of positive and negative effects of outsourcing, there is a wide range of gray area in between because the positive and negative effects varies based on what country you come from and what kind of industries you have in that country. As a person doing a presentation on outsourcing, I would suggest to educate the public about it because we basically are clueless about the products we buy. We just buy and we don't really think about the origin from which it came. So I think that's an important aspect that should be introduced to the public. And even though these companies are outsourcing to other countries to make their products, they're getting richer, whereas these other countries are struggling to get by. These companies can do better to help with regulation or compensation for the fact that these workers have died making their products. So, in conclusion, these are the findings of my research presentation. Thank you.